Alrighty, we have John Ryman. He's a carpenter, retired carpenter from Oakland. Came up here to stand in solidarity with the carpenters here on strike.
Thank you very much. Sisters and brothers, my name is John Ryman. I'm the former recording secretary and an expelled member of Carpenters Local 713 in Hayward, California. And I was expelled for my role in helping to lead our 1999 Carpenters wildcat strike. Just one word about expulsion. I know some of you are concerned about being expelled. I was expelled in 2000. I retired in 2007. Between that time, I continued working under the union contract. I received all the benefits, and I now am living with my full union pension. Legally, they cannot stop you from working as long as you want to join the union. Now, our wildcat strike was really around the same issue that you sisters and brothers are fighting around here. And that's this issue, this nonsense about you can't get a decent raise until we recapture, quote, market share. And we should think about what that term means, because that is a business term. It is not a union term. And what it means is that you are nothing but a box of cornflakes, and the price that they have to pay for you can't be higher than Kellogg's sells. In other words, to put it in another way, that you as union, or we as union carpenters, have to compete with the non-union carpenters for who can work cheaper. Now that is the exact opposite of what the unions were formed for in the first place, which was to eliminate that sort of competition. And we can see that whole approach is a complete and entire disaster. It's a disaster for us, every year. It's harder and harder to put food on our table and pay rent and pay our transportation costs. Yes. I joined the union in 1970. From 1970 till today, from New York to San Francisco to Seattle to Chicago and all points in between, everywhere you see the non-union increasing. So that even on their own terms, they don't care about if you can afford the rent or not, but even on their own terms, the whole approach has been a complete and utter failure. And maybe most important of all, they've succeeded in convincing all too many sisters and brothers that yes, they are business people. They're not union people. They're not workers with a bond to all workers. They're business people in competition with other business people. So it's been a disaster for the very thinking, for the consciousness of our members, and for all working class people. And I should say that the Carpenters Union is really essentially no different from all the other unions and how they're being run. So we had this wildcat strike, and I'd like to explain a little bit about what we did. And hopefully there's some lessons there. And what happened, the carpenters on what was then the biggest job in the West Coast, I believe in the United States at that time, the San Francisco Airport International Arrivals Terminal, they said they wanted to walk off the job. And so we got together and we said, well and good, if that's really what you all want, then we're 100% for it. But we would just say, let's not make it just for one day, and let's not make it just on one job. Let's do it throughout the whole area. And so we started down that road. And incidentally, I should say, that job, which was the heart and soul of our wildcat strike, it was defined by three little letters, P-L-A. None of us gave a damn if it was a PLA job. All we knew is it was an important job, and if we wanted to get rid of that contract, we were going to shut it down. So what we did, we shut down the airport terminal. Then we organized a flying picket squad. There was about, 30 to 50 carpenters. We went from job to job. They actually went on to the jobs. We didn't do anything crazy, violence, tearing stuff up, nothing like that. They went on to the jobs and they spoke to the brothers and sisters on the job, person to person. And we shut every job down that we went on to. Incidentally, if anybody wants to, on my blog site, Oakland Socialist, I have a video of that wildcat strike. At the end of the day, you see this figure 5,000. We figured at the end of the day that we got 2,000 carpenters and 3,000 other building trades workers to walk off different jobs throughout the Bay Area. Now, another thing that was extremely important for us, and I hope you sisters and brothers would keep this in mind, at the end of every day of picketing, we had an open air general meeting. And they were a bit confused. You know, not every carpenter is exactly used to going to union meetings every month. And so, but we found our own way. We developed order, but I know it's inconvenient with all the different issues, but I do think that that was absolutely essential, having those daily open meetings where we could report back, see each other, and feel our strength. Now, another thing is what we did when we shut down a job, then we had to leave a couple of pickets there on each job. And I have to say that that was a weak point in our strike, that it was difficult people would walk, the sisters and brothers would walk, but a lot of them, they just wanted to go home. They didn't want to participate in the strike. And so if you shut them down, you know, if you're in a boxing ring and you get the opponent on the ropes, you don't walk away and let him regain his strength. You get him down. Yeah, and so when you have a job shut down, you keep that sucker down, not like what these fools are doing over here. Now, one detail that might be important for you sisters and brothers, and it might seem like a detail, because we couldn't get enough people to actually picket every day. At the end of a week, the majority voted to end the strike, and there was a question. There was some kind of legal issues, and the whole issue of the contract had to continue for a while, whether that contract was settled. So there was a question about if we went back to work, would we be able to go back out again in the event that that contract went through? My belief was that if we went back to work, the contract would go through, because it would not be possible to get people back out again. And it wasn't the end of the day. You know, it's just one battle in a longer war, but that did in fact turn out to be the case. And where it's significant for this is, I think it's possible that they could come back with TA5 that's marginally better than TA4, and they'd say, okay, so before we vote on TA5, everybody go back to work. And if you do that, number one, TA5 will almost certainly pass, I think, and even if it doesn't, it's going to be very difficult to get people back to work. So my own feeling is, if I were here, is I don't care if TA5 has 15/3, has every damn thing you want. You don't go back to work until it's ratified by the membership. Right. Period. Yes. So, and I think that the sisters and brothers have to be really very clear about that. And incidentally, you're out now. Add some stuff to the table. It's in the union constitution that we fight for a 32-hour work week. We should be fighting for that. We used to have every other Friday off. At least that's a start. So I say this: you have them on the run, not just the contractors, but the contractors' spokespeople, including Evelyn Shapiro. You have them on the run. When you have them on the run, put the pedal to the metal. This struggle is not as important as our paychecks are. This struggle is not just about a paycheck. This struggle is about fighting to transform our entire union. And you are not alone. As I say, as this goes on, There's going to be tens of thousands, even millions of union members from all different unions, and even non-union workers who will be watching this, who will be inspired by you. And this can be the struggle that can transform not just the carpenters union, but transform the entire labor movement. And we know we have a crisis in this society. It's the biggest crisis that I've seen in my 75 years walking this planet. And it is up to us in the labor movement to lead the entire working class, to transform this country and to transform the world. So I say, victory to the rank and file carpenters, victory to the labor movement and to the rank and file of the labor movement. Fight to win! Yeah.